This is our fourth unit of Masechet Brachot. In this video we will go through the unit and highlight the important parts. Please have your Gemara out and open to Daf Yud Gimel Amud Bet as we go through this video so you can do the proper work. Also, it would help to have your worksheets out as well. Here's Daf Yud Gimel Amud Bet, and as you can see, our unit starts over here with Taf Reish, which says Tanu Rabbanan. If you look where the lines start to get wide over here, that first one, the last word on the line, that's where you should be looking. And if we zoom in a little more, so again, you'll see our unit's going to begin at Tanu Rabbanan, that last word on the line, and it's going to go down to the two dots. First word on the line where it says Tzrichat, again from here, two dots, until down to here, two dots. Please mark it off in your Gemara. In this unit of Gemara, we're going to look at a few of halachot, a few laws related to Kriyat Shema. Why is it important to read a Gemara that discusses halachot? Shouldn't we be reading the Gemara that go back and forth and have conversations? Why is that significant? Why are we learning the halachot? So as we discussed in class, one part of what halacha is we put this into a four-word definition, right? Jewish values in practice. What we're going to see are a couple of halachot related to Kriyat Shema, and each of these halachot relate is based on a certain Jewish value and teaches us a certain Jewish value. And if we're sensitive to these halachot and what they're telling us, and we read through the Gemara and we see the way the Gemara phrases certain things, it might help us get a better understanding of not only what we are supposed to do, but a little bit of the reason about why we're supposed to be doing it. We'll study this one halacha at a time, one law at a time. So the first halacha we're going to look at, if you want to highlight it in your Gemara separately, you want to underline, you want to just leave it as it is. Okay, I do suggest punctuating. It starts here, Tanu Rabbanan, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Ad Kan Tzricha Kavanat Halev, Divrei Rabbi Meir, Amarava Halacha Keravi Meir. So now let's read that together. Tanu Rabbanan, our rabbis taught, and as we pointed out, whenever you see Tanu Rabbanan, our rabbis taught, it's the beginning of a new conversation. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Everyone knows that pasuk. What about that pasuk? Ad Kan, up through here, this pasuk, Tzrichat Kavanah Balev. Kavanah Balev means in focus, your heart should be focused, meaning you should be focusing on what the words mean. Tzrichat is needed. Ad Kan, up until here and through this pasuk, Tzrichat Kavanat Halev. You require focus in your heart. You have to focus on what the words mean. Divrei Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Amar Rava. Rava says, Halachik Rabbi Meir. We follow this opinion of Rabbi Meir. And as we pointed out, we looked at this first halacha in class actually. And as we pointed out, this halacha seems to contradict something we learned earlier, because if you look at the bottom of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, this is actually the bottom of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. If you look at the bottom of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, when you go to the top of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Bet, so we had this discussion already about when you need kavanah. We had the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who said that it was only through the words by Yu Hadvarim Ha'eleh. And then we saw Amar Le Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva responded to him, Hareyu Omer, but doesn't it say Anochi Mitzavacha Hayom? Again, that's the top of Yigimel and Bet. Now it continues. Right, the pasuk says, which words have to be on your heart? Asher Anochi Mitzavacha Hayom, the words that I command you today, Alavavcha, should be on your heart. Mikana Talomed, from here you learn Shakola Parsha Kula, the entire parsha, the entire paragraph of Kriyat Shema, Tzricha Kanav requires kavanah. And what did the Gemara say? Amar Rabba Barachana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. It was said in Rabbi Yochanan's name, Halacha ke Rabbi Akiva. The halacha actually follows Rabbi Akiva. So it seems like we have a little bit of a contradiction. In our Gemara, we were saying the halacha is like Rabbi Meir, that you only require kavanah for the first few words, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And yet we had a Gemara earlier which told us the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. Which opinion are we going to follow here? Not only that, but it should be a little problematic, because if you remember correctly, we pointed out also that here we are quoting Rabbi Yochanan as saying the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yochanan was a Tana. In our Gemara, we are actually quoting Rava was the one who said the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan. I'm sorry, like Rabbi Meir. And Rava is not a Tana. Rava is an Amora. So it seemed that Rabbi Yochanan would have more authority, and therefore the halacha should be like Rabbi Akiva, not like Rabbi Meir, like our Gemara. So to help us out, we're going to take a quick look at Tosfot. Tosfot, as we pointed out, is always on the outside of your page. So again, if you see Tosfot, if this would be the margin over here, right? So therefore, this would be the binding, the spine of the book. So Tosfot is on the outside over here. You also notice Tosfot because you have the big headings, much smaller than the ones that are in Rashi over here. Much bigger than the ones that are in Rashi over here. So let's take a look at this Tosfot Amar Rava. So Tosfot says, Amar Rava halacha k'Rabbi Meir. So quoting our Gemara, that's what Tosfot is commenting on. Tosfot said, "V'hachi hilchata." This is the halacha that we follow. We follow Rabbi Meir. Why? De kaimalan k'Rava. We actually follow the opinion. Kaimalan means we hold we uphold the opinion of Rava. Okay, Amar Rava halacha Rabbi Meir, and not Rabbi Yochanan. Why? Dehu batura. He is actually batura means the later one. Okay, he is Dehu. Later. He comes later. He actually lived later than Rabbi Yochanan. So contrary to what we normally think about it, that the earlier generations, the early rabbis from earlier times, the Tanaim, right, for example, have more authority than Amoraim. In this case, we are actually saying the halacha is, in determining what the bottom line halacha is, we actually follow the opinion of Rava. Why? Dehu Batra. Okay, Dehu Batra, because he comes later on. He lived later than Rabbi Yochanan. This is something that's very interesting. You should take a few minutes to think about it. Why would we follow someone who lived in a later generation in this situation? And we'll discuss it in class a little bit. At this point, if you like, you can do the worksheets for the first halacha, which you'll find in your notes. If you want, you can go through this entire video and then do the work all at the end. I don't really have a recommendation. Either way is fine. It actually might be nice to see the entire video, see the entire Gemara through, and then go back and do the work. Now that I'm thinking about it, but whatever you like. So now we're going to go on to see the next halacha. So Tanya means it was said in a Braita. Okay, that's a very important word. Okay, the word Tanya always means you're quoting a Braita. A Braita is a statement from Tanaim. Tanaim are the rabbis who lived at the time of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is written from statements from Tanaim, those rabbis. So all the statements that were made by those rabbis, which we know about, but did not make it into the official Mishnah, they're just as powerful, they're just as authoritative, they come from the same time. All those statements are known as Braita. So Tanya means it was taught in a Braita. Sumchos Omer, Sumchos is the name of a Tana. What does he say? Kol ha'ma'arich be'echad, anybody who extends echad, the word echad in Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad, ma'arichin lo yamav ushnotav. His days and years, yamav is his days and shnotav are his years, ma'arichin lo. They're extended for him. Again, tiny, it says in a Braita, Sumchos Omer, Sumchos said, Kol ha'ma'arich be'echad, anyone who extends the word echad in Kriyat Shema, ma'arichin lo yamav ushnotav. We extend for him, or his days and years are extended. Okay, they're improved. He lived longer. Different opinions on what that means. Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov. Rav Acha bar Yaakov qualify this. Uve Dalit. That's only the letter Dalit. You're supposed to, if you're extending, you're supposed to extend the letter Dalit. Okay, so again, in Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Okay, Hashem Echad. Okay, so the word Echad should be extended. That's the halacha we're learning here. Okay, if it tells you by extending it, ma'arichin lo, it's extending your life. It's going to put years in life. It's going to be a positive thing. So chances are, it's telling us you're supposed to be doing it. Okay, it's supposed to be extended. And again, Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov ubedalit. Not any letter there do you extend. Rather, you're supposed to extend the dalit particularly. You should think about it to yourself. How would a person extend a dalit? How would a person make a dalit last longer? Okay, try figuring it out. Try saying it out loud. Try extending the dalit. Okay, either way, that's the halacha. Amar Rav Ashi said, "Ubilvad, as long as shelo yachtof, you don't cut off, okay, the chet. You don't cut off the sound of the chet. You don't change the chet, which is the second letter in Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So make sure if you're focusing on the dalit to extend the dalit, you shouldn't cut off the chet and make the sound a little bit different. Now, what does that mean? So we're going to take a quick look at Rashi to help us understand this a little better. Okay, and as we pointed out, again, here is the margin of the spine of your page. Tosfot is on the outside, and Rashi is always on the inside. Okay, you'll see the smaller headings, and in this case, we're going to look at Rashi Uvedalit, right, which again is working based on our Gemara, which said that you're supposed to extend the Dalet. Rashi's going to talk about that. And Bilvad shelo yachtov b'chet. What are we afraid of? What does it mean that you're going to cut off the chet? Okay, so let's look at these Rashi zoomed in. Underline this part just because that's the only part of the Rashi we're going to do. Uva Daled, what's the deal with the Daled? Why do we have to extend the Daled? Why can't I extend the chet? If it says you have to extend echad, so let me say echad. I'll extend the aleph, or echad. I'll extend the chet. Why do I have to extend the Daled? Uva lo bechet, and not the chet, as Rashi points out. Why? De kol kamad de amar ach, because as long as you've just said ach, or I should say ach, you should say ech. Right, not the entire word echad, but just ech. Below dal, you haven't said the dal yet. Lo mishtal midi, it doesn't mean anything. The word ech doesn't mean anything. So if I say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem ech, that ech is a meaningless. It's not echad. It's not one yet. Uma betza b'harakta. What does it benefit you extending it? Rather, you should extend the dal. Wait till you finish the entire word. Extend the last letter so you had the entire word echad is being extended. Rashi might be working off the fact that the Gemara starts off by saying you should extend the word echad. Then how do I extend the echad with the dalet? The Gemara doesn't just say extend the dalet; it says extend the word echad, and it's not a complete word echad until you say the dalet, right? Again, uvalochet. I'm sorry, uvalochet bechet. You don't extend the chet. Why? The kol kemad de amar ach ech. As long as you just said ech of echad, the below dal without a dal lo mishtam. It's meaningless. It's not even a word. It's pointless. It doesn't mean anything. What is yachtov? Could be to cut off. He says, B'shvil arichot adalet. Rashi says, because you're trying to lengthen the dalet, lo yimaher, you shouldn't rush, b'kriyata, in the reading of the word. Shelo yikrena b'chataf. You shouldn't read the chet with a chataf, right, with a ch, instead of a cha. Below patach, without the cha. The ein zeklum, because then it would also be meaningless. So don't say echd, right, you're rushing to the dalet and you say echda, or something like that. Make sure you say echa. You make sure you don't cut off the chet and make it a shorter sound. So now we understand the second halacha a little better. Again, you want to pause and do the work on this based on this halacha on your worksheet. That's fine. If not, you can wait until the end. Let's move on. Okay, here is the third halacha that we're going to see, the final halacha in this sugya that we're going to see. Okay, this is going to be about, if you're extending the dalet, how long do you have to extend the dalet? It's based on a little bit of I would call it a story, an anecdote. Rav Yirmiyah hava yativ kamei de Rav Chia bar Abba. Rav Yirmiyah was actually sitting before. Yativ means to sit. Kamei means before, in front of. Rav Chia bar Abba. Chaziyeh, he saw. De hava ma'arich tuva. That Rav Chia bar Abba, Rav Yirmiyah noticed that Rav Chia bar Abba was Chaziyeh. He saw de hava ma'arich. He was extending tuva a lot. He was extending the dalet for a long time. Which is understandable. You said, hey, think about it. The previous Gemara said, if you extend the word echad by extending the daled, your days are lengthened, right? So think the longer I extend it, the better. Amar le, Rav Yirmiyah said to him, Kivan de'im lichte lamala ulamata. Once, since you have already, when you see the word melech, im lichte means you've made God king. Since you've made God king, lamala, above, ulamata, and below, down on this earth, ula arba ruchot hashamayim, in the four directions of the heavens, whatever that means. Two lo tzrichat. You don't, right? Two further lo tzrichat is not. You don't have to do any more. So Rav Yirmiyah was saying, hey, slow down, Rav Chia bar Abba. Slow down, Rav Chia. You don't have to extend this dalet for half an hour. The whole point is that of extending the dalet is to concentrate on the fact that God is king, right? But once you've concentrated and made God king, lamal, above, ulamata, and below, right? Shemayim and Aretz. Ula arba ruchot hashamayim, the four directions of the heavens. North, south, east, west, or it might be something metaphysical, we're talking about something spiritual, something beyond this world. Either way, once you've done that, tu lo tzrichat, further is not needed. You don't have to keep stretching it. Extend the dalet, extend the word echad. While you're extending it, think about the fact that God is king above, below, and everywhere around, and then stop, you're done. You don't have to do it any further. So, in this case, what we're noticing is Rav Yirmiyah is telling us, by saying once you've made God king, it's fine. We are now learning the purpose of this halacha, which is to think about God as being king. We're extending the word echad, God being one, so to help us focus on God being king, right? Kabbalat ol malchut shamayim, as we discussed, which is the purpose of Kriyat Shema, and is also telling us the limit, okay, the halachic limit. once you've thought about making God king, right? Once you've extended the echad, and during the time extending echad, you had enough time to think about God being king everywhere, you could stop. That's the limit. You don't have to keep going further. No further extension of the word echad is needed. So just to recap the halachot we learned quickly, okay? We learned the halacha that we followed the opinion of Rabbi Akiva that you only have to have kavanah only required for first pasuk. Only the pasuk of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad requires kavanah. The second was you should extend the word echad. And we say that's particularly with the, you should extend the dalid of echad. Okay, the dalid of echad is what you're supposed to extend. Okay, and make sure not to cut off that chet. Right? And third of all, okay, the whole purpose is to make God, or think about God being king, Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shamayim. Okay? And once you've done that, that's our limit. Okay, our limit, is once you've made God king, you could stop. Once you've extended it long enough to think about that, you could stop. You don't have to extend for half an hour. You don't have to extend for 5 minutes. You don't have to extend for 30 seconds. Okay, just say echad, right? Extend the word, say it long, say the dalid long, and we'll talk about in class how you extend the dalid. And as long as you've had time to think about God being king everywhere, then you could stop and you're done. Okay, and now we'll just read the Gemara together from beginning to end. And again, this will help you. You can go back to this part of the video later when you're filling in your sheets and working on the translation. Tanu Rabbanan, our rabbis taught the following. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That first pasuk of Shema Yisrael. Ad kan srichat kavanah balev. Through this, up until here, and through Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Right, up until here, srichat kavanah halev. Focus of your heart, having intention and focus on the words, on the meaning of the word is required. Divrei Rav Meir. These are the words of Rav Meir. Amar Rava said, halacha Rav Meir. We follow this opinion, Rav. The halacha is like Rav Meir. That's halacha number 1. Then Tanya, it says in a Braita, Sumchus said, Kol ha'marich be'echad, anybody who extends the word echad in Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Kol ha'marich be'echad, anyone who extends the word echad, ma'arichin lo yamav u'shnotav. His days and years are extended for him. Okay, maybe longer, maybe better, whatever it is, that's what it means. Literally. Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov, Rav Acha bar Yaakov said, Uvedalid, that's only, right, that's with the dalid. You should be extending the dalid. Amar Rav Ashi said, Ubavad shelo yachtof bechet, as long as you don't cut off the letter chet. That's halacha number 2. Halacha number 3 was learned out of an anecdote. Rav Yirmiyah Hava Yativ, he was sitting, kamei before Rav Chia bar Abba. Again, Rav Yirmiyah Hava Yativ, Rav Yirmiyah was sitting, kamei de Rav Chia bar Abba, in front of Rav Chia bar Abba. Chazia, Rav Yirmiyah saw, de Hava marich to it, that Rav Chia bar Abba, excuse me, that he was extending a lot. He was extending that word echad for a long time. Amar Le, he said to him, Rav Yirmiyah said to Rav Chia bar Abba, Kivan dim lechte, once you've made God king, lamala above, ulamato and below in this world, ula arba ruchot hashmayim, the four directions of the heavens, which could mean north, south, east, west, or it could be something metaphysical, spiritual, either way. Again, I'll read it one more time. Amar Le, he said to him, Kivadim lichte lamal ulamata, once you've made God king above and below, ula arba ruchot hashamayim, and the four directions of the heavens, tu lo tzrichat. Further is not needed. Further is not necessary. You are done doing what you had to do. That is the conclusion of this unit. Take your time, watch this video once, watch this video twice, go through the translation, go through the halachot, and you should really be able to get a good handle on this sugya.